WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome into First Alert Weather Extra. Today, more dry weather, hotter during the afternoon. Of course, one of the big stories, Hurricane Fiona. That system impacting Puerto Rico in the Dominican Republic, and now it is moving closer to the Turks and Caicos. Let's take you over to the satellite image where you can see this thing, and quite a potent looking Category 2 hurricane based on the satellite imagery. This thing may be already approaching major hurricane status. You can see rapid convective growth around the eye of this, and the eye is exposed, so you can see the central dense overcast as it spreads away from that center and kind of pulls away. You've got that little void right there and some clearing, and with all this kind of wrapped around, no evidence that one side of this, perhaps this western side of it, sort of sheared off a bit, but looking around the eye, no indication here that this is going to be rapidly weakening. It's certainly strengthening, and it's just it's something you just hate to see here. Notice there's Turks and Caicos and how close this is. You know there's just going to be some intense impacts there during the overnight with all the rainfall. One thing you can see here, though, with the satellite can tell you a lot about how these things are starting to move. And you can often look at the cloud pattern with this and see how it's kind of, the clouds are kind of fanning more north. If you kind of draw and quadrant off this tropical system overall, the entire cloud pattern, you can obviously see that the clouds stretch further north as opposed to east-west, and that's kind of giving you an idea of the direction this is moving in. It's starting to drift there back off towards the northwest and in the northerly direction. Temperature-wise, 82 in Center, 84 there in Coleman, Fayette at 90 degrees, toasty Monday afternoon, and it's going to be even hotter for tomorrow. Let's walk you through that forecast as we look at the setup tonight. The good news, it's still more of a dry heat, so at night it really feels perfect out there. It feels very pleasant, and the temperatures will cool off into the 60s tonight. Let's go back and walk through that one more time here. We'll take it hour by hour. So you can see there's 9 p.m. tonight. You can see we're going to be down in the 70s in many areas, and then we'll take it to 6 a.m. and you can see 60s, light north wind, nice start in the morning, but the afternoon, well, back into the 90s. So it is certainly going to be a hot afternoon tomorrow. And notice, yeah, we put a small 10% chance of rain on that forecast. There's a chance we could see a couple of isolated pop-ups there later in the day. And a boundary that we're tracking to the north. I was talking to Lauren earlier. She said, Wes, have you checked out some of the high-resolution data? We looked at it, and there was a little bit of rain that was actually moving in from the north, showing up in some of the model data. So a small chance there that we could see a couple of pop-ups there later on in the day. So we put a small chance of rain in there. Most areas will be dry for tomorrow. And of course, the heat, the big story. Let's head over to meteorologist Matt Daniel for more on this hot weather pattern.
All right, the big story this week, we've been giving you that hint for the past several days that this week could end up pretty hot, just in time for fall, right? Who's excited about it? No, I'm kind of over the 90s. I do want to show you, though, I doubt we're going to break any records going into Wednesday and Thursday, but just in case something weird happens and we end up really hot, these are the look at record highs for the 21st of September for both Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, and Anniston. The record high on this date was 98 degrees back in 2010. 99 is the record high for Wednesday in Tuscaloosa, set back in 1955, and Anniston, 97 degrees, set back in 1955. What about the next day, going on the 22nd of September? The records, 100 degrees in Birmingham, set back way back in the 1925. Tuscaloosa at 99, back in 1955. And once again in 1955 in Anniston, a record high of 98 degrees. So once again, I doubt we're going to break or tie these records, but we could be maybe a few degrees close to some of those numbers going into Wednesday into Thursday, which is a good reminder. It's still going to be hot this week, so we always tell you to always check the back seat, because unfortunately we'll have reports of deaths of kids stuck in the back seat, and that's just horrible right there. And here's the latest update. Unfortunately, 25 fatalities have already occurred this year from from heat strokes in vehicles. And you can see those numbers. Thankfully, we haven't had one here in the state of Alabama. We've had 3 in Georgia, 2 in Florida, 3 in Texas, and even 1 out in parts of California. So most of that has been in parts of the southeastern United States. And in comparison, 2018, 2019, we had 53 deaths right there, 25 in 2020, and we've already surpassed 2021 from 23 to 25. So always check the back seat, not only for toddlers, babies, kids, but also for your pets as well. Never leave them in there. I know the humidity levels are down, but the sunshine hitting through that car really going to create a lot of heat, and that could cause some major problems. So always check that back seat before you leave. The good thing, though, we've been telling you about is the humidity. Not super high, so it's going to feel pretty toasty for the next couple of days just with the dry air in place and the hot temperatures, but definitely don't have to worry about the heat or humidity going into the end of the week as another cold front arrives. And of course, we'll have more details on that throughout the rest of this week.
All right, Matt, Hurricane Fiona right now, winds of 100 miles per hour. The pressure down to 972 millibars, approaching the Turks and Caicos. This system right now moving to the northwest. It's still well east of the Gulf. Do not expect this system to move into the Gulf of Mexico. But coming up, we're going to show you the latest track on this and where it's going. We're also going to update you on another disturbance that could impact the Caribbean. That's one we need to watch. So we're going to talk about that. Another cold front later this week. How low will the temperatures go? We'll show you and check in on that beach forecast as we continue on First Alert Weather Extra.
When 6 on Your Side investigates, the issues that directly impact you matter most to us.
That's why we're getting answers on rising prices and how you can save some money.
And being another set of eyes looking out for your kids and your family.
Getting to the bottom of health and billing issues that may be hidden in the fine print.
How events nationwide are affecting you here at home.
WBRC Fox 6 is always here on your side, ready to help. This is why 6 on Your Side investigates.
These are your mornings, and Good Day Alabama is built to start them right. The only station staying local on all platforms all morning long. In your community, giving you a deeper perspective with the largest team dedicated to you. Showing new stories from overnight, helping you get through your day. With First Alert weather and traffic, getting to the point, not wasting your time. These are your mornings. Prepare for a good day. Prepare with Good Day Alabama.
When moments turn severe, how do you find clarity?
This is your First Alert from the WBRC Fox 6 weather team. We're with you as we prepare for this threat.
In a season of constant change, when you need to know first, when you need to prepare, only one team gives you the first alert wherever you are. A trusted team staying ahead of what's next in your neighborhood. Stay alert. Stay with the First Alert weather team. Live, new, and on your side, beginning at 9 p.m. In a day filled with clutter and noise, WBRC Fox 6 News breaks down what you need to know before anyone else. With new updates, live and on the scene, answers for your money and your livelihood, with 6 on Your Side investigates. And your first alert for the hours and days ahead with the WBRC First Alert weather team. On your favorite platforms every night. WBRC Fox 6 News at 9 and 10. On your side.
Pummeled the island, and it has resulted in flash and urban flooding and mudslides across the country. We have a report from CNN on an update.
After the fury of Fiona, more than 1,000 rescues across Puerto Rico, nearly 5 years to the day after Hurricane Maria took aim at the island, knocking out Puerto Rico's power grid. In some instances now, officials say, the flooding may be worse. Puerto Rico's governor, Pedro Pierluisi, said, quote, the entire island was affected by heavy rain, and perhaps for that very reason, people can say this time the floods are worse than Maria. Carlos Vega took this video outside his home in Hormigueros. The floodwaters are near the Guanajibo River, which is at an all-time record height of nearly 30 feet. Help is coming from the mainland. New York sending Spanish-speaking police officers.
We'll have over 100 troopers from the New York State Police Department on their way to Puerto Rico over this next week. And as the need continues to rise, we'll be ready to offer other resources and support.
Fiona delivered an island-wide blackout. By early Monday, more than 1 million people in Puerto Rico were still without power. In eastern portions of the Dominican Republic, forecasters say life-threatening flash and urban flooding is likely through early Tuesday. Fiona is expected to strengthen in the coming days, nearing Bermuda by the end of the week. The National Hurricane Center calls for Fiona to reach Category 3 by Wednesday, making it the first major hurricane of the year in the Atlantic. I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
And so even though we will not see direct impacts here in the mainland U.S., obviously Puerto Rico, part of the U.S., so they have already been pummeled. But what we're seeing now, the latest, is that Fiona has strengthened into a Category 2 hurricane and likely going to become a major hurricane within the next 24 hours or so. But as we look at the wide view across the Atlantic, we have 2 additional areas that we're going to be watching over the next couple of days. We have a disturbance out in the middle of the Atlantic that is going to be moving northward. And then we also have one just to the north of South America that we're going to keep a close eye on over the next couple of days. We'll get to those in a moment, but we do want to focus on Fiona, where rightly our attention is at this time. So Fiona now has max sustained winds at 100 miles per hour. It has moved away from the Dominican Republic, at least the eye has, and that eye wall where you're going to have some of the most intense rain bands and the most intense winds, those hurricane force winds with gusts up to 120 miles per hour. But you notice these thunderstorms still on the south and east side of Fiona. So we're not done with that potential for flooding yet across the Dominican Republic. Puerto Rico still seeing some rain bands coming on shore, but the bulk of the moisture has shifted westward now. So it's moving off to the northwest at 10 miles per hour. And Wes was noting this earlier as we look a little closer there, that eye has become more well defined. So a Category 2, but unfortunately it's going to the northwest, and that is making a beeline towards the Turks and Caicos, where a hurricane warning is in effect. May see the west side of the storm just skirting the southeast Bahamas, but certainly going to be a threat for the Turks and Caicos as we go into the overnight hours. So we want to see where Fiona is going. And I can't stress enough, we are not going to see direct impacts on the east coast of the U.S. There could be some strong rip currents, though, in the days ahead. But this is going to, once it passes the Turks and Caicos, go back out over water. And unfortunately, the latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center does put Fiona as a Category 4. You've got some very warm water down here around the Bahamas and the Caribbean up to the east of the Bahamas. And so that is just going to serve as fuel for Fiona. And even though there's a little bit of wind shear in the atmosphere, it's not going to be enough to counteract that warm water and those favorable conditions. Eventually, it's going to take more of a turn to the northeast. So here we go Thursday into Friday. It's hard to see on our map here, but Bermuda is within the cone of uncertainty. So Bermuda could take a strike from a major hurricane by the end of the week. And then you'll notice that cone even includes portions of southeast Canada. So up towards Newfoundland could be seeing what would not necessarily be a tropical system anymore. We call it extratropical when it begins to lose those characteristics as it moves farther north, getting into some cooler water, but still could certainly bring some heavy rainfall and some strong wind gusts to parts of Canada into the weekend. So that stays away from us. But we've still got 2 areas to watch. The latest update from the National Hurricane Center has outlined this area that we're first going to pay attention to out in the middle of the Atlantic for a medium chance of development over the next 5 days. A lower chance within the next 48 hours, but obviously you see this is well far away from us and would likely be staying out to sea, not an impact for us. The one that we do want to keep an eye on is the one that's a little closer to South America. Now that one still has a low chance of development over the next 5 days. You'll see this disturbance that has formed out in the Atlantic. You've got some disorganized showers and thunderstorms. But eventually, what's going to happen as it moves westward, it could move into a more favorable environment where you've got warmer water, you have less wind shear, and that's going to help it to potentially organize. Now, over the next 5 days, doesn't look like it could be too impressive, could pose a rain and wind threat for the Lesser Antilles as those thunderstorms move westward. But what's going to happen once it gets into the Caribbean? That's the question, and we certainly need to watch it, and here's why. Because even though our spaghetti models, as we look here at Fiona, showing this staying out to sea, there has been some indication in our long-range models that as this moves into the Caribbean, there is a chance that maybe within the next 7 to 10 days, and Jill's going to talk about this a little bit more and beyond the 7-day, is that maybe, just maybe, there would be a path for it to move into the Gulf. So could that impact us here in the Gulf Coast? Been very quiet along the Gulf Coast this hurricane season thus far. So we want to give you a peek. And we do want to stress as well, this is one model run. We're showing you 2 different models, the American and the European model, and this is going to keep on changing in the days ahead. This forecast can and will change, but we want to give you an idea of why we're keeping an eye on this. So here we are tonight. That disturbance doesn't really look like anything much right now, right? North of South America, you've got this tropical wave. It's going to keep making its way westward. You see as it moves past the Lesser Antilles, maybe gets a little bit more organized, passing to the south of Puerto Rico. Here we are Friday night. You see Fiona making its way towards Canada after leaving Bermuda. But this is the American model showing, okay, maybe it could pass through Jamaica to the south of Cuba. Not out of the question that maybe it could move into the Gulf. And if it does move into the Gulf, could be an environment that could support some type of organization and strengthening. But remember, this is still 10 or so days out. Here we go for the European model, again showing that this moves into the Caribbean, getting into that warm water, and the European is also picking up on, hey, I think maybe we could push this into the Gulf of Mexico. Where would it go? There's a lot of uncertainty. As we've seen with cases like Fiona, you've got mountainous terrain in the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. So a shift in that track could make a big difference if it were to go through that really warm water near the Yucatan Peninsula. It's got water to feed it, all of that energy. That could certainly help a system to form. But if it were to move over the mountainous terrain of the islands in the Caribbean, not necessarily a guarantee. So there's a lot of uncertainty. We are still early in the game. We are just giving you that first alert that maybe by the middle of next week, if not later next week, we need to keep an eye on things. But like I said, meteorologist Jill Gilardi will be going into more detail on beyond the 7-day, and Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt coming up after the break for a look at our much drier local forecasts. We'll be right back.
Remodeling a shower or bath can be tricky with gas prices up and tight monthly budgets. Cost is a real concern, but West Shore Home is helping homeowners get the shower bath they need right now. I'm joined by Kirsten from West Shore Home. And Kirsten, tell us, how is West Shore making bath remodeling affordable?
So Joe, for folks who want to get their bath or shower project done right now, we have a very special offer. We know that monthly budgets are a little bit tight right now, which is why we wanted to make this offer available to everyone. If they give us a call, we have 18 months of no payments and no interest financing. That means they can get their shower or bath done now and not have to make a payment for 18 full months.
So you're saying people can get their new shower or bath installed right now and not have to worry about making any payments or paying any interest until 2024. That's really helpful.
Definitely. People love this plan because it allows them to be flexible with their finances.
Can we see some projects you've done recently?
Absolutely. So here's one where the homeowner wanted to replace their old fiberglass shower with something more new and modern. So we replaced it with a beautiful marble style shower with an easy low step entry and a beautiful shower door.
That is amazing. Perfect combination of safety and beauty.
It definitely is. So let's take a look at another one. These homeowners were struggling with mold and mildew from their old tile. They were tired of scrubbing. We were able to give them this beautiful new shower that is so much easier to clean. You can get a new shower or bath just like this when you call right now, and you won't have any interest or payments until 2024.
Kirsten, thanks so much. Folks, do not put off that shower or bath project any longer. West Shore Home is making it affordable to take care of that bath project right now. West Shore Home is extending this offer for 1 week only. Free installation on all shower and bath projects. And for a limited time, they're doing 18 months of flexible financing. That's no payments and no interest until early 2024. This is an offer you don't want to miss. Call the shower and bath experts at West Shore Home now.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra, and again, nice analysis there from meteorologist Lauren Linehan on Fiona and all the systems that we're watching out there in the tropics. Again, this system is going to be a big story here as it moves north, impacts imminent here around the Turks and Caicos. Those areas will be greatly impacted. If you have friends, loved ones there in that region, you can pass along our First Alert Weather Extra updates there on social media. We'll certainly be keeping you posted here throughout the week week as we monitor. We're in the peak of hurricane season, and I think this is going to be over the next 2 or 3 weeks here the main activity that we're really going to have to watch for in the tropics. As you can start to get into November and the westerly winds start to kick in, the chances of something making it into the Gulf of Mexico really starts to drop off there as you get towards the end of hurricane season. But again, we'll be watching that one disturbance there that's going to move in towards the Caribbean. No immediate impact, though, for us. We're not concerned about Fiona in our forecast. Again, we talked about that one tropical wave that may move into the Caribbean. The big story for us next few days, the hot weather, and then we get to Friday and Saturday. We're tracking a front and we cool off. Thursday is the start of the autumnal equinox, the arrival of the astronomical fall season. That arrives on Thursday, and we were smiling last week because we were talking about fall arrives next week, but it's going to feel like 93, 94 degrees. Temperatures kind of going the other way, but just after fall arrives, we are tracking a front that will bring a drop in temperatures for this weekend, and there's a good chance Saturday we could have some areas in the low to mid 50s out there starting off the weekend, so there will be some cooler weather. I want to show you this. We put a small 10% chance of rain in the forecast for Tuesday, and you can see there tomorrow we start off dry, but watch to the east. You see that? A couple of showers could track north to south. Greatest chance east of 65, but we could see a couple of pop-ups out there tomorrow, so we did include a small chance for a passing shower. Most areas remain dry, so I would certainly plan on watering. High temperatures in the 90s, Tuscaloosa around 94 degrees, a hot afternoon, and again, it looks like another hot day on Wednesday, and then we have another chance for a few showers late on Sunday, but most of the weekend at this point looks dry. As we go over to meteorologist Jill Gilardi. Jill, still for most of us throughout the week, it's going to be, looks like another dry forecast here with the exception of maybe late Sunday and Monday. What are you seeing beyond the 7-day?
Well, in terms of temperatures, we may catch a little break from the above average heat. Of course, we do catch that break towards the end of that 7-day forecast, and it looks like that trend could continue 8 to 14 days out, with the heat really building across parts of the western Midwest and the West Coast. So that's where it's looking to be, the hottest as we go into that long range. But in terms of, that muggy air, do we have that comfy air in place instead? Well, there's indication around the 27th that the air will be dry and comfy. Let's hope that pans out. There is that possibility for a brief spike in humidity. Usually that happens right ahead of an approaching front. So as we get into, crazy enough, October 1st, we could see a little spike in humidity as we see potentially another front, and that would drop down the humidity levels and potentially bring us some cooler air. So certainly some hopes for changes with the humidity levels. We'll just have to see how much of a change with those temperatures and how long it lasts, right? Now, in terms of the precipitation, there is a trend towards the below average precipitation to continue now. We're still seeing that, so we'll have to monitor, especially day after day after day, dry weather. Is there any possibility of abnormally dry conditions starting to develop or any drought? Of course, we'll have an update on that on Thursday. Every Thursday we get an update from the Climate Prediction Center regarding drought. So we'll have to monitor for that. That is for sure. And in terms of the tropics, as we go long range, it is picking up. This is the GFS model. It is picking up on that system that we were talking about. But as we've been stressing, this is one model run. So what? Both models are showing this possibility. The ensembles, which should combine a whole bunch of models, do not really show this. So we'll have to wait for that to happen for us to be like, oh no, but it's certainly something we can't ignore though. You know what I mean? We are into that time of year that, the models are indicating that we could see another system. We'll have to see if it enters the Caribbean, if it enters, of course, the Gulf of Mexico, and what happens after that. So we will just keep a watch on this for that possibility. Of course, each and every day we will share the latest information with you. And again, if there's any major changes, you are going to know about it, but no reason to panic right now. Nothing is going to be impacting over the next 7 to 10 days. It's looking fine, but we'll be watching, of course, beyond the 7-day to see what happens. So we'll have a little bit more weather with Lauren coming up after this break.
When 6 on Your Side investigates, the issues that directly impact you matter most to us. This is why 6 on Your Side investigates.
These are your mornings, and Good Day Alabama is built to start them right. The only station staying local on all platforms all morning long. Prepare for a good day. Prepare with Good Day Alabama.
When 6 on Your Side investigates, the issues that directly impact you matter most to us.
That's why we're getting answers on rising prices and how you can save some money.
How events nationwide are affecting you here at home. WBRC Fox 6 is always here on your side, ready to help. This is why 6 on Your Side investigates.
In a season of constant change, when you need to know first, when you need to prepare, only one team gives you the first alert. A trusted team staying ahead of what's next in your neighborhood. Stay alert. Stay with the First Alert Weather Team.
When 6 on Your Side investigates, the issues that directly impact you matter most to us.
Being another set of eyes looking out for your kids and your family.
This is why 6 on Your Side investigates.
Live, new, and on your side. Beginning at 9 p.m., WBRC Fox 6 News breaks down what you need to know before anyone else on your favorite platforms every night. WBRC Fox 6 News at 9 and 10. On your side.
When 6 on Your Side investigates, the issues that directly impact you matter most to us.
That's why we're getting answers on rising prices and how you can save some money.
This is why 6 on Your Side investigates.
How will the weather impact your roads? The First Alert Weather app has live traffic updates and road conditions for a safer commute. This is why we First Alert.
WBRC Fox 6 News. On your side.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Before we wrap up this evening, with it being hot and above average for the week ahead, we'll check in with Mickey Ferguson for a beach forecast.
Hey, let's get going right now. We've got some beautiful pictures from the beach. This is a sunset at Gulf State Park sent in by Gary Ernest. And isn't that lovely? That might be some of the canals there or close to Lake Shelby there at Gulf State Park. And then we have a sunrise that occurred this morning, a video sent in from Gulf Shores by someone named Chelsea. So when you do send in pictures through our First Alert Weather app, you can send in videos as well. So that was uploaded on our First Alert Weather app, and we sure do appreciate it. Man, looks like a great time to go to the beach. Not as many crowds out there, and the weather pretty darn nice. Let's check it out. We do have a moderate rip current threat down there at the not only the Alabama Gulf Coast, but right along the Florida Panhandle for several days to come. Wind speeds out of the north-northeast at around 10 miles per hour, but that brings dry air into the scheme of things. And the Gulf water temperature off to about 84 degrees. So we have your forecast for the next couple of days. Looks like very dry air does start to warm up a little bit, getting into the low 90s, very similar to what we are experiencing here at home. But still dry air at the beach. If you're looking for a week to go down there, looks like this week's going to cooperate nicely for you. But it does get a little warmer, but still dry. Would put on the sunscreen, though, because the UV index very high down there at the beaches. So that's always the case. If you've ever been down there, you know what happens when you don't wear sunscreen. Whew, I get burnt bad. The Gulf Coast forecast then for the next several days, sunshine all the way into Friday, and just an itty-bitty chance of getting some showers there. Now, we do have our highs warming up into the low 90s, overnight lows in the 70s, so it's actually cooler at the beaches for a few days than it's going to be here at home. Smoky Mountains, if the beach ain't your thing and you're headed to the mountains, well, we've got pretty nice looking weather there as well, all across the southeast and stretching into the Smokies. We have temperatures in the 80s, cooling off into the 70s on Friday, but dry weather should be really, really nice. And anytime you're away from here, you can monitor the weather yourself on your First Alert Weather app. And if you scroll down to the bottom of that, you can send in pictures just like Gary Ernest did from Gulf Shores.
And with a forecast that good, I don't know. need to find an excuse to get down to the beach this weekend. In the meantime, here at home, we're going to see temperatures cranking up over the next few days. Highs get into the low mid-90s through Thursday, which, yes, is the first day of fall. But also on Thursday, we get a little front coming through later in the day, and that's going to set us up for a really nice Friday and Saturday. Get a dose of that lower humidity again, and potentially 50s by Saturday morning. Starting off the weekend, if you're going to be watching some college football, some feel-good vibes in there. Of course, it'll get warmer in the afternoon. We are tracking that chance of maybe a few showers and storms Sunday night into Monday, but Wes will have the latest for you tonight and on Fiona coming up at first at 9. I'm First Alert meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Have a safe and happy Monday evening.